Hello, guys. Welcome to Live with Jacqueline Valdez. Super excited to be here. Super excited for today's guest. We are making it happen. So today we are going to be talking to a wonderful duo, Lucas and Adrian from 80 Empire. Super talented. They have some exciting music news, and we are going to discuss some of the struggles during COVID and so much more. So please welcome to the show. Hello.
Hey! We made it 3 times the charm. 3 times the charm.
We're here. I know. So many times we were supposed to meet up, but different circumstances happened. And so now we are ready, and you guys are hitting off my season 2. So I'm super excited. Awesome. We're hitting it with a bang.
We're glad to be.
We need the drum out.
I love it. So how are we doing today?
Good. Today's a good day.
Yeah, we're good. We battled the storm, Adrian especially, with the being in the hospital and COVID and all that darkness and fun stuff, I guess.
But weathering the storm,
and we're here, and we're excited to be here, and
man, excited to finally hang out with you, Jacqueline.
I know. I've been looking so forward to it, and just been following your guys' journey and seeing everything that you've been up to, and then even just persevering through the whole COVID situation. Some people might not know, but you have been in the hospital for a little bit, and you have had COVID, and things have been kind of a whirlwind for you guys.
Absolutely, yeah. So the end of April, we were all started feeling sick. My youngest daughter, Julia, had a little bit of a fever, but my wife and I thought it was nothing, because we've been extremely precautious. Got
it from the school.
Got it from the school, from another kid at the school, and everyone was sick. Lucas was probably feeling the most sick. Myself and my mom, our parents moved in with us. Thank God they had their first vaccine.
Wow.
Because they're snowbirds. They would have been in Florida when we all got sick still, but with travel has been kind of crippled and restricted, but everybody was getting better. I started getting worse. We got an exometer from the doctor, little machine, put your finger in to see how you're breathing. You really should be 90% and up, your oxygen level.
Right.
I was in the 80s. My legs were extremely rock hard, and my wife and then my mom were touching my legs, and they're like, oh my God. So my brother and my father rushed me to the hospital, and 3 weeks later I had, because of COVID pneumonia, which according to my family doctors, 4 times lethal as a regular pneumonia. COVID gave me blood clots in my legs and my chest, collapsed lung, pleurisy, which is when you have liquid in your lung. It's the coating around the lung.
Right.
I'm doing much better. I get tired. It's just up and down, but I'm doing much, much better. Thank God.
Yes, thank God. And it's so scary to hear that still people do not see COVID as being real, as being something that exists. And there's so many dear friends that I know that have gotten it or who have passed away from it. And it's just, it's just mind blowing to think that people are still.
It's not to get into all this, keep, we try to keep it all light, but it ain't about politics, people. Like, it's just, this is serious. It doesn't matter who you like, who you hate, what you eat. Well, maybe, but even then, there's a guy, in the news up here who's an Olympic, for the Winter Olympics. He's a bobsled guy, and he's a machine, eating machine. He's built, he's athletic. That's all he does. And he was in the hospital for 8 weeks in a coma because of it. So these variants, the thing with these variants, whereas the first one was
because we got the Alpha variant. Well,
the British,
which is the British, the UK variant.
Yeah.
That's what they said when I was in the hospital. So it's not just, if we would have gotten COVID the same time last year, I probably wouldn't have gotten hit as hard. But this was a variant, and luckily,
it doesn't matter. You can be 20s, 30s,
and it doesn't
40s.
Discriminate. And the scary thing with it, sorry to see, my wife, my oldest daughter, our father. They're asymptomatic. My wife showed no symptoms. But then me, who, other than being a bit chubby, I'm in good health. I didn't have blood clots previous to that. Blood clots, heart disease, none of that stuff runs in our family. So touch wood, we've got pretty good genes. None of that stuff runs in the family. So
American Eagle genes. I like that.
American Eagle genes.
They fit good.
Yeah. No, but so this was an extreme shock to the system. And what it does, most of the time, Italians, we always get, we're drama queens. But the thing is, what this has done it's made me, I'll be honest, it's given me, and the doctors have said it's given me like some PTSD where, 3 weeks in a hospital because of COVID, I wasn't able to see my wife, my kids, my brother, my parents. So being alone, the nurses, they were, miracle workers, but they come and check on you 3 times a day. It's a very long day. And when you're not sleeping at night and then you hear the nurses and you hear the banter, it's not like just regular times where you could walk in. I could walk because I was hooked up to oxygen too. I could take the oxygen tank, walk in the hall. You were confined to your room.
And nobody could see. We couldn't see him.
And so it was very, very lonely. And so, and at least, thank goodness I've got I had a great support system to come home to, and I've got a decent backyard and a pool to dip. I mean, I haven't been swimming yet because still my chest, but at least I could dunk my feet in and stuff. Yeah. But people who come home and they've got no one to take care of them, it's a scary thing, man. And
if you're by yourself,
and it's a little thing like wearing a mask for someone who it feels anxiety about what's going on.
I think the problem with it is listen, do we like wearing masks? No, of course. But just wear it.
Yeah. just do it.
For the 45 minutes.
We'll talk about Robert.
I'm not gonna swear, but for the 45 minutes you're in Target, just wear the mask.
Yeah.
No one's taking your rights away. You want to talk about rights? We could have 3-hour conversation. That's not your rights. It's just being, you might be okay, but that older lady walking beside you, or that person with,
or me, or
that person with asthma, or that person that battles, lung disease and certain things would kind of appreciate it if you wore a mask while you buy your chips and your nice bathing suit and your Star Wars shirts in the back,
or your nylons,
or your or your Starbucks.
These are my compression socks.
That's Adrian's night gig. Those
and you never know who is next to you who has something wrong, because I would not know that you had been sick. You look perfectly healthy. You can't judge a book by its cover. You can't just assume.
Well, you know what?
And again, my wife had no symptoms. My oldest daughter, my youngest, just again for maybe 24 hours.
Kids got
had a fever, but my dad, who's going to be 73, 74, dancing around listening to, my parents love salsa merengue, salsaing and merenguing around the house. He's like, I don't feel anything. Because then when we were tested, he's walking around.
I love it.
You know what I mean? So, it's I'm actually drinking his wife's blood now, because clearly she had no problem. So at night I crawl in.
Listen, this can, but this can be we don't want to get, we don't want to bring the mood low. We want to keep it energized. But it is this morning, my wife was looking at the news. My mom was looking at the news. I'm like, let's shut it off, because you're looking the Delta variant and this and that. And then you're looking at other things. And it's just man, and because I really got hit by it, it's funny what COVID did too, not now, but when I first got out of the hospital, it's almost like with autistic kids, certain frequencies with autistic kids, they have to have headphones if they're in a classroom and stuff, because certain things just whatever, the way their brain is wired, certain high frequencies, my dad likes to sometimes play Baroque music at dinner, but just the high flutes were just real. And Dad, no, it was giving me
wow.
So it's
and
funny.
I have the COVID brain now. I've talked to a couple of other friends who've gotten it, and I get COVID, I know, I don't know, that this speaker or that see, I'm doing it right now.
Disco ball thing.
Disco ball. It took it certain things. I'm going, what is that again? I know what it is. The word doesn't come out quick. My brain, it's like a little fogginess.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just.
We'll get through this, but I want this because Jacqueline, you're in Florida, right?
And it's really crazy here because our governor is actually pushing people to not wear masks, and
don't Fauci my Florida, something like that.
It's so crazy, yeah. And I've actually been at an event where I was doing something, and I had 5 people gang up on me because I was the only one who was wearing a mask in the establishment, and they were like, "Why? It's not real. It doesn't exist." And I had to walk away and just, it's crazy, yeah.
I have a friend who's a nurse, and she was talking to somebody who got COVID, who kept asking her, what are the symptoms? And he goes, I had fatigue and loss of taste. My taste went away. Loss of taste. Right. And she said, well, what else did you have? He had a really bad pneumonia. Right. But he said, oh, that was even after the fact, he said that was just by fluke that he got the pneumonia in the hospital. That the only COVID symptom was
Well, I think what's going on now, we're only spectators watching what's going on in the States, from the COVID to what's happening politically. People are making this a political issue. It's an issue about right or wrong. It's an issue about health. You see, because growing up in Canada, health is part of. It's just a part of the fabric, which makes us Canadians, where it's a right. It's not like, like if Adrian, I grow up poor and he grows up rich, I go to a shitty hospital and he gets the best goddamn treatment. In Canada, it doesn't matter of your social, economic status in life.
Yeah, like Adrian's stay at the hospital was free. It cost him nothing. It cost
me $0.00. I had a huge room with on the fourth floor, a nice, despite what I was going through, I'm not.
You had color TV.
No, but
you had satellite phone. You had all the fixes there.
Wow.
But Jacqueline, we're in Florida because we love Florida. Our parents.
I'm in Gainesville, so I'm about 2 hours away from Orlando, about Tampa, Jacksonville. I'm an hour and a half away. 4 hours from Miami.
Okay, yeah. We go down. We used to go down at Homestead in Miami all the time, and then now we go down. My parents they have
in Inglewood on the Gulf
Venice
side.
Beach.
Okay,
Venice on the Venice.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, and I think you'll have to come visit me. That'll be super fun.
Well, that'll be fun. Yeah, you know what? Outside of this craziness,
we love coming to the States.
I love Florida. And we look forward to. That's the one thing COVID, outside of being sick and all that, there's so many things, going around. Back to music, it's like now it's like we have to start traveling again, because there's certain things you just can't do if you're in a studio with, we're working with so many different artists from Los Angeles. You need that
physical. You need that physical. You're Jacqueline. I know, you're an artist as well. You're a dancer. There's only so many Zoom dance things you can do. It's a different kind of energy when you're feeding off the audience and you're dancing in the flesh, and rather than you're behind the computer screen. There's good energy chemistry between the three of us. But imagine if we're in Italian, we say faccia.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. And it's so important that you guys are talking about having been affected by COVID and having struggled getting it, because a lot of people are scared to say that they've had it. There's artists that I've talked to that have wanted to keep it quiet. And I feel like it's important to use your platform to share things so people can be educated and we can make a difference.
Well, you know what's funny? I know two people, let's cut you off, but two people on my street here that were not anti-vaxxers by any stretch, but were, hesitant, because there are people that have died from the AstraZeneca, and it's a small percentage, but again, it's a small percentage that you could,
but they stopped. But they stopped that.
AstraZeneca.
It's only Pfizer and Moderna here.
Yeah. But there's a small percentage that you could walk out of your house and get hit by a car. You could choke on food while eating. I mean,
true.
I'm super scared to get mine because of what's happened to me. But my doctor said I should be fine, so I'm getting mine August 28th.
Yeah, but
sorry.
Let me. I just wanted to say, but. Brother,
I love it.
No, what I was saying is he got it because his mom made him. But when he heard my story and what Adrian went through, he was like, he goes, it just gave me that no, I'm gonna book my vaccine. And it wasn't like he was like, I think this is all, the people, the real conspiracies that think we're getting microchipped.
Yeah.
Track us. I'm like, dude, in 2004 when Facebook came out or whatever, and you typed in your profile. Yeah. You went to Amazon.
I'm gonna find something. Keep going.
And you put I want to buy. As soon as you got your first package from Prime, as soon as you put your Netflix password online and watch
I remember that.
You tracked yourself. I mean, how many times are we on our phones and we're having a conversation? Yeah. If I talk about Where's my phone?
This
anything, and then it pops up.
That's a picture. I mean, you can't with the glare.
Wow.
But, you can't see it because of.
Here, I'll do it.
No,
it's kind of hard.
It's kind of hard,
Right
but
there.
like, you can see I have the oxygen. Like
It actually, the picture actually looks like wanted for domestic terrorism.
And then look, I'll show you. This is my story. That was my foot. Like
Wow.
how it was.
Yeah.
It's hard to see, but
It's real. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
real.
cool.
So people, if people are not sure, you know what?
But
the wrong approach is calling somebody an idiot, a moron. Just everybody cooler heads. Wear a mask.
We'll check this story out. We have a cousin, Roberto, an Italian, and his mom had COVID, and this was like last year when it started in 2020,
Right.
and she wasn't feeling well, and she's in her 70s. So he went, picked her up, brought her to the hospital or wherever to get tested. She was okay. Again, this was before like vaccinations, and this was before the variants all started mutating.
Right.
But his mom sat in the back seat. She wore a mask. When he picked her up, he had his mask on. Our aunt had COVID. Our cousin Robert never got COVID. So it just shows you how important. She just had a regular, the blue mask with the white, whatever, the ones that you can buy at Walgreens or whatever.
Doesn't have to be fancy. Just cover up.
And so that prevented my cousin from getting sick. Obviously, I'm sure if he was living with his mom, it would have been a different story because, people, listen, we have to live our lives. I need to take my own medicine because I've been super paranoid. I go nowhere, know.
I was going to say, has this affected your guys' now music career as far as traveling and as things are starting to lift now and things are starting to open up spaces and studios and stadiums and nightclubs?
We're lucky that we have the studio here. I mean, if we flipped it on the other side, there's a vocal booth and all the gear and everything.
The studio's in my house because I physically run all the equipment, and Adrian and his family live literally like a minute drive.
Nice.
So it's perfect.
So the cousins, my two daughters and Luke's son and daughter,
if Adrian's if we're working late, and he leaves at 12, he could literally hit his bed by 12:05. It literally so that's
nice.
That's how close. So it's been lucky that way with the
more eyes and ears probably have been on the music because there aren't so many people on tour and this and that. It's starting to open up. Obviously, right now it would have been lovely this summer to come to the States. But I think even if I didn't get as sick as I've gotten, and again, I'm not vaccinated. I'm done my blood thinners August 25th, and then I'm getting my shot the 28th. And again, my doctor said I should, doctors now, it's all theoretically because this is relatively new. They're still learning. So he goes, theoretically, you've got better antibodies and you're safer than someone who's had a double vaccine. You should just get one vaccine. But I mean, I'm not going to go find out if that theory is true.
Right.
Stand in a crowd of 500 people.
That makes sense.
Right now, I think even if I didn't get sick, I think we'd be reluctant to come to the States just because the Delta thing is.
And it's, everybody should have listened to Little John many years ago. Shots, 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 shots. Everybody. Da, da, da. He meant the different.
I want to ask Jacqueline a question.
He meant the different shot.
I love it.
Your background. I mean, you're American, yes. And Canadians, we always say we're Italian before we're Canadian. I took Spanish in university for a year. I love Latino culture. Where is your family originally from?
Barcelona, Spain.
Barcelona, Spain.
Wow, that's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, so I've got Spanish, I've got Italian, French, Navajo Indian on my mom's side, and then a little bit of German.
Okay, wow. My wife's half German and half Trinidadian.
That's awesome.
Wow, I always like inquiring about.
A beautiful mix.
Yeah, thank you.
Have you been to Spain?
I have not been to Spain, and I really want to go. I've been to Italy, and that was awesome, and I loved it there. And they were so warm and welcoming to me. So I'm like, I need to go to Spain next. That's my goal once everything starts to get better, because I'm scared to travel too.
Sure.
Yeah, you know what it is for me. It's. I feel a better habit because I've been double vaxxed. At first they said 90 days, and then right when we were the doctor's like, you have no more symptoms like fevers and things like that. He goes, book your vaccines. I said, I thought about 90 days. He goes, what people don't understand is this is changing constantly. So we move with okay, you need it now. You don't have to wait the 90 days. Like, so I'm double, thing. And so my wife and I could go on a vacation.
Right.
But mentally and I wouldn't enjoy myself.
Yeah.
I'd feel like, oh God, that person's, what if because we could still get it. Now, this is where people go, you see, the vaccine, nobody said this was
100%.
Yeah, or this was like the bubonic, like the plague. You take the one shot and you're done. They just say, it's like, okay, you take it, and if you happen to get it, you're going to be okay.
But our mom...
You'll have a light, you'll have like a light flu. You'll feel crappy for a few days, and you're good.
So our parents got it as well. They were they're still living at my house. They're building like a granny suite in my garage and stuff. But but anyway, construction, everything's delayed. But I've got enough rooms. So they've got this bedroom and blah, blah, blah. But they had their shot
a week before.
My mom got really sick. She was sick for 2 weeks. She had a fever. She was headache, fever, coughing, blowing, running nose. I'm convinced if my mom didn't have her first shot, she would have maybe been in the hospital as well.
Oh, wow.
I'm convinced. And I think that first shot
made a difference.
It made a difference.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was 2 days shy of getting my shot. Then I got a high fever. We thought it was sinus. We couldn't believe it was COVID because we weren't really going anywhere, But again, my daughter got it just before spring break, and they shut down the schools again. And a kid at her school was sick, and I guess it could take 14. That's the scary thing too. You can get it. It could take up to 2 weeks until it hits your system.
Well, for us, it was almost 2 weeks.
Yeah,
but
and that's a really good tip is to keep an eye out for stuff like that because you don't really think it's just runny nose, allergies, hay fever.
Yeah. My niece, his daughter was like sick on a Monday, Tuesday. We had my wife's birthday party on the weekend because our bubble was like this, and then by the Wednesday night, a little bit of a tickle. Thursday started feeling achy. Friday got worse. So almost 2 weeks, or a week and a half.
And watch your leg. And it's funny. When we just
he started getting like Charlie horses.
Because I thought I just had a bad Charlie. Like you wake up at night and you get that Charlie, and you're you're doing this. I thought it was like I was about to have that harsh pain. It was rock hard, but it was the blood clots. And it's funny. I spoke with a doctor on the phone. Like they have a hotline at our doctor's office because they want to limit traffic into the doctor's office.
That makes sense.
And the doctor said, like the doctor who was taking the calls said, just be aware, like you could get clots with COVID. And I didn't, even after he said that, and I was already feeling thing in my legs.
Yeah.
It didn't click in because again, I've never been like the worst thing I've gone through is getting chicken pox as an adult.
Wow.
And that was pretty bad. I was out for 2 weeks, but I mean, not at the level.
You were at home and
I was at home. Like I've never been hospitalized.
He looked like Calibus from Clash of the Titans. Like the original, the one they made you watch in school.
All over.
So you guys have families and kids and everything. How do you manage to be dads and run these households and also be musicians and following your dream and your passion for music and entertainment?
No, we don't have any nannies.
No nannies. No, you know what? It's I think there's a lot of hours in the day.
Yeah.
Even though we don't, we've learned to sleep lesser hours. Like I don't think when I got like 8 to 12 hours of sleep was during COVID because I was constantly like super tired and I'd go to bed at like 7 or 6 o'clock, wake up at like 9 in the morning and still feel like I hadn't gotten a wink of sleep. But you learn to multitask where we've done some vlogs and we had to stop the vlogs because we got sick. Mind you, now is a good time to kind of jump back in. Right. But literally we'll be here working on music and it's like, okay, it's lunchtime. Then I go up and I make all 4 kids because I have two kids, a son and a daughter, and so our wives might be out or doing something or they're shopping or doing whatever.
Right.
Okay. We take an hour break, make them lunches or 45 minutes or half an hour, make them lunches, and then we jump back in. And the great thing of having a studio here is that the kids all like to come in and listen, or it's like my wife will text me. If Adrian's not here and if I'm working on a mix and Adrian can't be here or whatever, because usually I'll do a mix and then I'll let him hear it and then he'll go, no, I don't like that, or that's too low. If he's here, then it's just easier for me to get a lot of it done, and then he can critique it, and then
right there.
But my wife will go, hey, I know you're okay. Yeah. He hit his leg of all.
Oh, ow.
You know, my wife will go, the kids are going to go to bed. So I'll come up, tuck them in, say, you know, spend some time. And so we make it work. We juggle it.
And we've had good role models, you know, like, I mean, the age that we are, I can still say like our heroes are our parents, my mother, my father, our grandparents, you know, extremely hard workers. Our grandmother died actually 3 weeks ago. She was already super old, 97, and
2 weeks ago.
Yeah, you know, in a home, and really for the past 7-8 years, really wasn't living. She was safe and protected and cleaned and fed, but it wasn't. When you lose the ability to know what the hell's going on around you, you're not living anymore.
It's not living anymore.
And so you're just you know, you're just paying or whatever, it's subsidized for the government for someone to just exist. But it's not real living. So, you know, that happened too just 2 weeks ago. There's been a lot of shit in 2021, man.
There's been a lot of stuff for you guys. Yeah, you've been through a lot. Wow.
Yeah, it really has.
But side note,
we just put out an album last week.
Life After Life.
Life After Life.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. Really, Life After Life now means even much more that, because I feel like this is life after life. Like there was life, my life, all of our lives. But I mean, I'm going to speak selfishly for a second. My life's been changed forever, and I don't mean that like as dramatic, like something bad's getting, like this is always, I went through something where like not everybody goes through, you know. And when you're sitting with your family doctor and he's like, listen, man, you fought for your life. No, I was never in the ICU, but you know, pneumonia 4 times the strength of a regular pneumonia, all this shit, high fever, the blood clots. It's just like, if I would have waited, my family would have waited a little longer. You know, it could have gone another direction. And so this album, Life After Life, it just means more. And we did it with our little brother, RX. We met RX when he was like in his late teens.
From the Bay. He's from the Bay.
From Oakland.
Wow.
And he's just an incredible rapper. I'm rapping on a bunch of songs, singing. Lucas, you know, physically produced the whole thing. And it's just, I just feel like, you know, we've got a mixture of songs. Like there's a couple of tunes which are good to dance to and kind of that hip hop bravado. But the others, like Heavens Part 1, Part 2, it's talking about loss. We got Angels and Demons. You know, RX is gone through. I would let him. You need to hook up with him. He's gone through a lot of shit in his young years. He has seen a lot that none of us would ever want to go through. So I won't speak on his behalf, but he's talking about the struggles in his childhood and young adulthood and how he's circumnavigated those, you know, those waters. And it's, I think at the end of the day, though, it's also a story about triumph, but life after life, you know, that sometimes in life, you start thinking this is going to be your life, and it doesn't go that way. Yeah. For whatever reason, you take the ship, the wind brings you in another direction, and and that's what this is about.
I always thought I was going to be a 6'5" male model, and clearly, in the cards. And I also, the vision boards. I have a vision board of six pack abs. Still haven't gotten it yet. But,
I love it. Put it on the fridge.
I put it on as soon as I pick up that bag of Doritos.
So that's one thing that hasn't stopped. You know, I mean, in the hospital, there were certain things like people were WhatsApping me, and like I mean, we're cool with talking about what happened. I haven't posted any pictures or anything like that, because to me it's just like I don't want to get that attention. I don't want people, please pray for me. Like, I knew that I had the support of my family and close friends and family rooting for me. Yeah. I didn't want it like that kind of attention. So with our 80 Empire Instagram, I basically run it. Lucas runs it too. And yeah, I mean, there were some people who hit us up. Like Luke and I, we co-produced and co-wrote the real theme song for the Housewives of Miami.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that's coming back on, I think, apparently. Wow. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but I'm sure it's public knowledge now. Months ago, it wasn't. But like the girl Adrian Demura, who's on the show, who sang the song that we did some music for her,
Wow.
And there was talk about incorporating it and stuff. And I said, listen, man, I'm in the hospital fighting for my life, you know, blah, blah, blah. But then, you know, the rappers who we're close to,
right.
We told them, yo, man, like, we can't get on this call today. And these guys were like checking on me, yo, man, prayers up. And it's funny, you know, rappers, no pun intended, always get a bad rap. Other than obviously my immediate family, couple of cousins, the rappers that we work with who knew, the pop singers and stuff.
Right.
I hope you get better. Never heard from them again. The rappers every day, every other day, every 3 days. Yo, what up, homie? Prayers up. And it just goes to show you, man, like these guys, a lot of these guys, like they're from the street.
Shout out to Swifty from D12. Crooked Eye, RX, you know,
these guys like
Dub C, even what's like, Dub C? Like Dub C, we're doing a song with Dub C. If people who don't know him, he's a goat of
West Coast
hip hop, West Side Connection, Mac 10, Ice Cube, and we actually the first time we spoke to him on the phone was actually the first day we started feeling like crap. And he had just recovered from COVID. And he's like, yo, how's your brother, man? Prayers, and checking up. And man, some of these guys are like they're real deal. Like they're, you know what I mean? Like when they talk about like their stories, like these are real stories.
Because one thing that the streets, and not every person from the street, because there's rats from the street,
loyalty,
just like there's rats in every sphere of life, but there's a sense of loyalty. When you grow up and you're banging with someone, you're going through, you've gone through this, whatever, it's juvenile, or you've gone through county prison or whatever, you've gone through shit together. There's a sense of like, like that brotherhood where, pop singers, and I'm saying pop singers, but like, it can be a male or a female. It's not related to a specific gender.
Well, I don't think just a pop singer. I think it's just people that are self-absorbed.
Yeah.
People
and
that
I feel like people that are more real, more authentic, have had struggles in their life, have had difficulties, and who have been in darker times seem to be more genuine, more real, more supportive, more loyal. They know what it's like to have hit bottom, or to have been on the streets, or to really be hustling for their career.
Yeah. So shout out to all those fellas, who checked in on us. But like with RX, we had to push the album a bit back, but even RX was like, because
I don't care. I just want to know you guys are good. If you need anything, can I do anything?
We even said it the other day on the phone, which really touched me. He's like, man, you don't know like how like all the shit that I've been through. And then, we're about to put out this album and you're fighting in the hospital. He goes, man, like it made me feel so it's nice to know that there's cats in other cities, Detroit, Oakland, different places that are just like, man, these guys actually give a shit, man.
Yeah, that care, because I don't care about them. So
how long have you guys been in 80 Empire, and how did you like create it and start the name?
Obviously we're blood brothers, so for better or for worse, we're but what I love about it is that because we're brothers, like we can't tell each other off. Right. And ultimately after if it's not if we are arguing about something, ultimately whether I like his opinion or not ends up being a better song.
But there's a different dynamics when you're family, because we can have a heated argument. We can tell each other really to go to hell, but then it's over in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But we started when we were teens, playing with our cousin Justin, who we still consider part of the group. But we've always morphed and evolved into different names. I'd say about maybe 5 years ago, maybe a little bit more than that. A little
longer. I think we always kind of went by our last name, Rezza Brothers. Okay. And we were just kind of like,
but it was hard to like people, especially in the States, would always call us the Russo brothers, the Rezza brothers, the Rezza brothers, the Ritza brothers. So we're like, shit, man, let's just like, and also we had a group early on called the Rezza Dons, which was like hip hop, but we kind of got not pigeonholed because of the management and stuff that we were with. People used to consider them like the death row of Canada, like Suge Knight of Canada. So we kind of got that kind of stigma, like, oh, and they're Italian. These are some mafiosi and gangsters and shit. So we're like, let's do something where we're not going to be judged on our ethnicity. People will look at us and know we're Italian.
Right.
We're Italian. I mean, people have said when we come to Miami, they used to think we're Cuban or Argentinian. I mean, I've gotten Moroccan. We could look like a myriad of things, but at the end of the day, we're Italian. But we're like, let's do something where we can incorporate our ethnicity. Like our label's Gladiator Records. So our mom's from Rome, so that incorporates our Italian heritage, but also the fact that gladiators were slaves and they had to win enough fights for their master to finally say, you know what, we're giving you your freedom. So, you know, we're signing a publishing deal with Universal. Shout out to Universal Records, but they do jack shit for us. You know, so it's and I don't mean that to sound bitter. It's just for anybody watching, don't always wish for a big record deal, because we've had record deals and things and that, and
it doesn't mean
it doesn't mean, because sometimes you get a record deal and then they shelf you. Like we were signed to Universal as a group as well.
And we didn't do anything. We didn't release anything.
Well, brand name manager who managed Nelly Furtado. Now he manages Alicia Carr. We were self-sufficient, had our own studio, recorded tons of songs, and just never. And a lot of the same groups on the roster, big groups in Canada, ended up leaving because the focus was just on Nelly Furtado. So sometimes, like, whether young artists, in between or old, do it yourself. Yeah. You know, if you build it, I know it sounds funny, like Kevin Costner. If you build it, no, if you stick with something long enough and are dedicated, it might take longer, but it will happen. It might not happen exactly like you want it.
And sorry, to kind of go back to the name Media Empire. No, back to when you're saying about juggling family.
Yeah,
I always, and Adrian philosophy. My philosophy is, I would rather what people deem success and what notoriety, you know, you're a big celebrity nonsense. I deem success differently, but I would rather take the longer path to that success. But my children know that their dad is around. He tucks them in, not every night, because if we have to do things,
right.
But he takes them to the school bus. You know, I'm there. They need me when they, you know, I'm there for them. They love me. I love them. These memories of when they're young, once they're older, they're gone. Yeah. So I would choose that well over, you know.
Well, when we got our publishing deal, right, it was a North American deal. So it was like Canada and America. So when we signed it, we went to Santa Monica. That's where Universal Publishing building is, and blah, blah, blah. And we went there, and, you know, for people to see our face. Now, obviously, coming down for 4 days a week, people forget about you.
Yeah.
We were toying with the idea, maybe we'll move the whole family. First of all, it's really difficult growing up in Canada, totally uprooting and moving to California. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because California is, although there's a lot of expats who live in California from Canada, it's still a different culture. You know, growing up in the States, we don't have the gun culture that America has, and different things. So
I wouldn't even just say that. It's like, my God, it's $1 million plus, and back then, $1 million for like a shack, like
that's so true.
Well, in Los Angeles, like let's not get it twisted. Like obviously, you know, being in Florida, things have changed. But if the prices from Florida or Atlanta back then, and some of these beautiful neighborhoods and things, where the price is there, it might have persuaded us differently, because we have so many friends and families that live in these areas. But it was like, it would just we said to ourselves, like, we could just take that money, the two of us, go down for a year. But especially Adrian's kids, they were like 2, 3, 4 years old, like, you know, 5 years old at that time. Like, that's a crucial time, you know, right? Where we're not willing to make that sacrifice.
I think
with our children,
the biggest success, if you're a parent, is like our parents always say, you know, our success is in you guys, because you're productive adults. You're good guys. I mean, they say we're good guys. I don't know how good we are. You know,
and I think that's why people love you guys so much, is that you are so authentic, so real. You are so family oriented. It shows through your music. It shows through just your lifestyle. You're so open. You're so authentic with, you know, the music and the industry. And you are just full of fun and super creative. And yet you still take that time to be the dad, to be the family person, and realize that life is short. And those were great gems that you guys were dropping with the music industry, because so many people want the fast way to success. They want all the tips. They, you know, expect to get a huge TV show, a huge music company or manager and expect to blow up overnight. And it's just not that way.
People think if they do 3 TikTok videos, how come I haven't been discovered?
And then
you might have to do 50, and even then.
But even then, like, you know, the proof is in. I always say, like, if we're looking at music, the proof is in how many real people really listen to your music. How many people you could have 1 million+ followers on TikTok. Because everything you're doing is you're lip singing some lip talking some nonsense, and that's fine. I laugh at these videos too. Yeah. But people, let's not get it twisted. That's not a talent. Let's just call it that. It's fun. And some people do it better than others, where they actually have a talent of jokes. And some people have now become like they were. So that could be the doorway they were, to what they really. Right. They were big, comedy. Right. They were big on Vine, and now some of them are now on Wildin' Out, and they're hilarious, like DC Young Fly and some of these guys that are now doing well as comedians, and they use the social media platform. But there's a lot that are like singers, like. Yeah. Everybody uses autotune because, yes, we live in a world where people want to hear perfection.
That's true.
That being said, learn how to effing sing.
Yes.
because I ain't going to spend anywhere from $50 to $200 to come see you if you're whack on stage and you sound lousy. Like, not because he's my brother. Jacqueline, you're a dancer. It's like we think everybody on TikTok now does this, and they should now. They're all of a sudden a dancer, and you go. I call this the Rubik's Cube. The Toronto slang would say, you've been dancing from time. Yeah. That's what we got to use some Toronto slang. The man's them from time. No, but right. So, like I'm a producer. I'm not a beat maker.
Okay.
Whoa, sorry. No. Right, listen, I can sing. But I'm not a singer. Adrian's a singer and a rapper.
Right.
If Adrian wrote me a rap, I could rap it. But I can't put words together that fast. I'm not. The same way he can't get on a piano. Now, I've been playing keys for a long time. Nice. My background is jazz, but I use those elements to put into the tracks. And then when Adrian's singing a hook, that's why a lot of these MCs are like the Dub C's, the Swifties, the Crooked Eyes, they're like, man, I went through some shit when I was, like my years of like when I was a Crip or when I was gangbanging or when I was Swifty. And we have a second album that we're just finishing up with Swifty. And one of the songs he's talking
Swifty was in D12, Eminem's group.
Swifty McVeigh from D12. And Swifty's talking about carjacking a mom, like a soccer mom. When he was a kid, because that's all he knew.
Like on 7 Mile, in Detroit.
But it's Adrian's
wow
choruses with the music that inspires them to tell these stories that they weren't able to before. Because you could put out.
Man, you and I jump off top. We were like,
I love it. I love hearing it though. I love it.
Yeah, I don't know where. Learn. Yeah, but anyways, it's like what? But
we're family men.
But it comes to
family ties. What would you do, baby, without love? What would you do, baby, without love?
I love it.
You know what hurt the most actually with him? And then we'll stop talking COVID and doing bloody depressing. He lost his register, Adrian, and it's back. It's coming back, and not like the false. Like that's coming little. That's back. A month ago, he couldn't go. Woo! He couldn't do it. I couldn't even push that air. I was like, it's still not the. Yeah, but you couldn't do that. But it's still not.
It sounded pretty good.
To be honest, Jacqueline, I was contemplating firing him.
You're done. You're out.
You're out. I'm doing it all myself with auto tune.
Oh my goodness gracious!
No, but the thing is, I don't want to. The thing that is you can feel really good one day, and then the next day feel like crap. No, it is. Understand? Like the doctor told me, like you're looking at probably like 6 months until you really feel, December, January.
until you really feel yourself. Because there's time like I'm walking, like even just bending down to tie my lace. Shit, I get up and it's like I'm catching my breath. It's like like a marathon.
Yeah, that's scary. Wow.
Yeah.
What is it that you guys want to be remembered for?
I think like family men, like you said, and I think
our work ethic, but putting out music that has, you know, there's those fun tracks, those ignorant songs, those like you just turn up tracks and stuff. But want to be remembered for if we could be, you know, if there's an anecdote of 80 Empire that helped propel the culture, the music culture, the hip hop culture, the R&B, like in that, then that's what we want to be remembered as, is yes, of family men, but that's for our children. Like that's, you know what I mean? But we want to be remembered as, man, like 20 years from now, man, that was that song that you guys put out called Angels and Demons, or that track that's coming out, and I'll do a little teaser. We don't have a timeline yet, but that track with Corrupt from the Dog Pound and MC8 called Walk with the Giants, that's gonna come out at some point with a new album. You know, these are anthemic songs that, man, it's like you still remember you know, Marvin Gaye, What's Going On. You still remember these icons.
Yeah, I think we want the Gladiator, you know, the Gladiator sound, the 80 Empire sound to leave an impact. So when we're just grains of sand or ashes, you know, that like the music will, you know, the music will stay, and like that people hopefully will get them through, you know, like I'll tell you, like when I was in the hospital, I was, before I would go to bed at night, I'd kind of sit by the window and I'd play some music, and usually it'd be like very calming music. But one night I was listening to a lot of hip hop, and I was listening to Benny the Butcher, and like Griselda now, like Conway the Machine, Benny the Butcher
from Buffalo.
That's like Buffalo, like they're like, you know, like the new Wu-Tang Clan. And we've done a bunch of songs with a couple of these guys. So I was listening to not a song that we did, but a song, and then this guy Colton, really nice night nurse, good, just. I have to say, just a sweet guy, sweetener. He came, he's like, he was Italian kid too. He comes and he's like, I thought you like rock music, because my hair was longer too. So, you know, the stereotypes, he's thinking like I'm some old rocker. Man, I thought you were like old rocker guy or some shit. And he goes, you listen to that? I thought
you guys like ZZ Top, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
He just passed away.
Yeah. But he's like, you like that? Like Benny the Butcher? I'm like, dude, we have records with these guys. And then I pulled up one song, Legacy, and he's like, I know that song with Conway the Machine. So I'm like, ain't this a trip? Like, here's this 20, maybe 24-year-old nurse in the hospital. And then he's like, I know that song because it was on a playlist I was listening to. So that's the legacy. That's what you want to be remembered for. That shit. Once I said who, you know, what we're about, he's like, well, shit, 80 Empire. I know what that is with Conway. And so that was a cool thing. Yeah. So that I slept a little better that night, because I'm like, fuck, tonight felt normal in the hospital.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know? And I think too, going back to like some gems for people that are, you know, coming out or starting off.
And then poor Jacqueline's, we're taking her show hostage, man. Like,
I know. No, but I think it's important
forever.
I think it's important that whatever you do, whether it's music, whether it's dance, whether it's painting, writing a book, do it. Yeah. Don't be so like onto your ideas that you're afraid to
say it in Arnold's voice.
Do it. Come on, do it. Right there, kill me. Come on. No, get to the chopper. No, like you know, do it. Like if you want to put on an album, do it. That's the success. Whether 5 people listen to it, whether 5 million people listen to it, the success is in the you always say is in the
listen,
what's the word?
Execute.
In the execution.
But Jacqueline, you get up, you're doing this show live with Jacqueline Valdez. You know what I mean? And so it's successful because you're executing it. You're not just talking about it, you're doing it.
And I did have people that did try to talk me out of doing it. And then I did have some people in the entertainment industry that try to get me to be more of gossipy and getting more gossip news from the celebrities instead of having real conversations. And so that was interesting too. And I was just like, nope, I'm just going to do it and do what I do.
Jacqueline, many years ago,
Nike said it best.
Just do it. Many years ago, and I won't say his name. Nobody would know his name anyways, but he's a a well-known engineer and things like that. He told me that I wouldn't. He goes, "Don't make hip hop. You don't know how to make hip hop beats."
Wow.
Like, check the resume. No,
Drop.
But that was good though. I'm glad he said that. Just made me work harder. Somebody said, "Adrian, stop. Why you do that falsetto shit?" And you know what? Half of these artists that we work with that have like legends in hip hop are like, "Yo, that falsetto was like, woo!" Like, you know, where we challenge MCs that have been around forever, because we're not just giving them like an 808 drum beat, hard beat where, you know, you could just rap, do your rap, hard rap. You got to think about it, because he's talking about something in a chorus that's going, "Oh, I gotta go deep here."
But also, you know, whether it be your platform, whether it be our music, we're not going to be everyone's cup of tea. And I'm fine with that.
I'm good.
So, you know, like there's some people, for example, like, you know, there's that old saying about like, you know, if we're not invited to a table, I got my own table. I don't need to sit at the cool table with the cheerleaders and the football players. We sit at our table. You know, Gladiator, like, to me, gladiators were misfits. They were slaves, and they fought for their freedom.
I love it.
So that's what we're about. Like, that's what I think too. Like, we are kind of for the outcast and because we've never fit the mold. You know, we were Italian guys who grew up in Canada, so we're not American. We've always done, for lack of a better term, black music, because our parents grew up listening to funk and James Brown and Motown and soul. So we always identified more with Black American culture, but even Latino culture. Growing up, our parents used to go salsa dancing. So we grew up listening to Tito Puente and Celia Cruz and all of like Latino. So we grew up Italian in the sense. No, that's Grupo Nietzsche.
And I love it. I feel like the most creative, inspiring, unique people are the ones that are the outcasts, the ones that are the weirdos, the ones who think outside the box, the ones who are like, just watch me, and get more inspired and motivated by the people who say, no, they can do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
You know, so yeah, man, just to anybody watching, just keep doing it. I know,
and learn your craft.
We get down, we get upset.
Learn your craft.
You get COVID, but we didn't let that stop us. Like near the end of the hospital, we were like, "Yo, okay, we got to get like shit. We got to get moving," because you know, I get down sometimes because of this. Because you know, sometimes I'm not gonna lie, I'm like, "Why did I have to get this shit?" But you know what? We've known people that have lost family members, like have lost people like to it. So it's just like, you know what? There's always someone doing worse than you. Keep going as far like the Yellow Brick Road. Come on, Dorothy and Toto.
I love it.
And work on your craft, people. Like, you know, like TikTok's cool, but if you really want something more than that, then work on it. Because today we do really celebrate mediocrity. Yeah. There's a lot of mediocrity that we celebrate and consider part of the greats. Nah, Marvin Gaye was a great. Stevie Wonder was a great. Led Zeppelin was a great. You know, Nirvana was a great and he cut too soon. Eazy-E was a great, cut too soon. You know, these are greats. These are different fields were greats. Artists were greats. Like, you know, so work your craft, and the success is in the execution, you know?
Yes. And you guys are such a huge inspiration. You guys are inspiring so many people and have such a unique style, and just using your platform to make a difference and illuminating the world with your presence. It has been so much fun. I could talk to you guys forever.
I know, we're big mouths. Wait, you got Latinos and Italians together. That's it.
So I'm going to take you right back to the beginning. When are we going to Barcelona then to have a nice cafe?
Oh my God.
You know,
please, let's do it.
Barcelona, yes.
I had a friend, she's Greek, but went to teach in Europe, and a guy that she was kind of dating, they were kind of friends.
You want to go to Barcelona?
She used to go, his name was Carlos, but he would always go like this, no Nectaria, it's Barcelona, not Barcelona, Barcelona.
I love it. Let's make it a plan. We're going to have to reconnect again and have another conversation.
Let's do it.
Sounds good, man.
Yes, it has been such a pleasure. I've had so much fun with you guys. Yes, thank you so much. Thank you.
Ciao.
Yes, ciao. Thank you, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching Live with Jacqueline Valdez, illuminating the world one voice at a time. Thank you, guys. Lots of love and light.